Hi, Mel here, and in today's video I'll be sharing my recent experience flying aboard All Nippon Airways, more commonly known as ANA. I flew aboard one of their 777-300ERs in their business class product known as the Room. This was my first time flying with ANA, and I was excited to try out the Room for myself. My flight from Chicago to Tokyo took over 13 hours, plenty of time to get a real feel for the experience. Based on my time in the Room, is all the hype about this business class product true? Is it really the best business class product out there? And did I love it as much as I expected I would? Well, the answer might really surprise you, so I hope you'll come along with me today to find out. If you stick around until the end, I'll also let you know how much I paid for the trip. Finally, if you enjoy this type of content, I hope you'll hit the like button and subscribe. And with that out of the way, let's get started. My November flight to Japan was a first for me. Not only was it my first time flying ANA, but it was also my first time going to Japan. As you can probably guess, I was extremely excited in the days leading up to my trip. My flight was scheduled to depart from my home airport of Chicago O'Hare International Airport at 10:30 in the morning. I headed to the airport with enough time to grab breakfast at the United Polaris Club, which I was entitled to visit since both United and ANA are both members of the Star Alliance. ANA flights depart from Terminal 1, just like United flights. I made my way into the check-in area and immediately saw where the business class passengers were supposed to go. After check-in and security, I took the underground tunnel from Concourse B to Concourse C. When you come up the escalator at the end of the tunnel, the Polaris Lounge is across the way to the left. It's hard to miss. If you want a more in-depth tour of the Polaris Lounge, I did a full review during an earlier visit, and I'll put a link in the description below. But for now, let's have a quick look around before heading to the gate. It was about 9 a.m. when I entered the lounge, which is the earliest I've ever been there. And I was pretty shocked to find the lounge almost completely empty. I had my choice of seats, but I was more interested in getting breakfast than in resting. So after a quick look around, I went to check out the food options. There was a self-serve buffet area which offered quite a few selections, especially given how empty the lounge was. I always prefer the a la carte dining that the Polaris Lounge offers, but when I headed to that part of the lounge, I learned that they're renovating and expanding the lounge and the restaurant. But thankfully, they're still offering table service. There is designated seating for most times of the day, but because I was so early, I was allowed to sit anywhere I wanted. I selected a seat near the bar, ordered off the usual Polaris Lounge menu, and enjoyed a cappuccino, fresh pressed juice, and an omelet with potatoes. As soon as I finished eating, I headed off to catch my flight at gate C10. And within a few minutes, boarding began. Today's flight is on one of ANA's updated 777-300ERs. The aircraft is divided into 4 classes. Economy is equipped with 116 Recaro CL3710 seats, arranged in a 3x4x3 configuration. Each seat is 17.1 inches wide with a pitch of 34 inches and is equipped with a 3-stepped shifting footrest and an adjustable headrest. Premium Economy contains 24 Zim Magic Premium Economy seats. Each seat is 18.7 inches wide with a pitch of 38 inches and is equipped with a leg and footrest, as well as a 6-way adjustable headrest. Business class contains 64 Kengo Kuma and Acumen designed Safran Fusio seats, arranged in a 1x2x1 configuration. The seat width is a whopping 38 inches and can be converted to a lie-flat position for sleeping. The rows alternate between front and rear-facing seats, with the even rows facing forward and the odd rows facing backward. If you want a window seat, I recommend an odd row because the seats are closer to the window. Each room has direct aisle access and a closing door for privacy. The center rooms are separated by an adjustable partition so you can decide how much privacy you want. Finally, the first-class cabin, called the Suites, features 8 Kengo Kuma and Acumen designed suites based on the Jamco Serenity seat. Each suite has a 34-inch wide seat that converts into an 81-inch long, fully flat bed, privacy door, personal closet, and a 43-inch 4K display. On my return trip from Japan, I had the opportunity to try the suites for myself, so stay tuned for that review. But for today's flight, I'm in the business class cabin, which interestingly takes up the most real estate on the plane and is divided into 3 separate cabins. A cabin with 4 rows right in front of the premium economy cabin, the main business class cabin with 10 rows, and finally a mini cabin with only 2 rows. My seat for the flight is in the front mini cabin in room 5K. Since it's an odd row, I'll be next to the window and facing backwards for the flight. I boarded the plane and made my way to my seat. I was immediately impressed with the size and design of the room. The neutral colors contribute to a relaxed feel, and in my opinion, the materials look high-end. But what really stands out is the size of the room. It's shockingly large. I think the biggest space I've ever seen in business class. The seat looks more like a mini sofa than an airplane seat. On top of the seat were a large stack of items. On top, 2 pillows. Then a blanket, a mattress pad, slippers, an amenity kit, and headphones. I moved everything out of the way so I could take a seat and get a better look at the space. Straight ahead is the 24-inch 4K in-flight entertainment screen. Underneath is a small storage space, as well as the tray table that pulls out and unfolds to reveal a large stable surface. To the right is a console with plenty of counter space and a storage cabinet. In the cabinet, there's a mirror that swivels out. A couple of netted pouches in the door for storing small items, and a shallow compartment that would work well for an iPad, an iPhone, a book, or another thin item. Overall, though, the storage was less than I expected, given the large footprint of the room. Under the storage cabinet is a USB port and a universal outlet. This charging area can also be accessed by raising the flap when the locker door is closed. If you need additional charging, there's also a USB port on the side closest to the window. This is also where you'll find the headphone jack. Back on the storage console, you'll find the seat and light controls, as well as the remote control for the in-flight entertainment. The bottom row of controls can operate the many light options of the room, both functional and ambient. The top row are the seat presets. A preset to make the seat flat for sleeping, a preset for being upright during takeoff and landing, and a preset for something in between when dining. These buttons move the seat forward and backward, closer to your entertainment system or further away. And the scroll wheel at the top allows you to make finer adjustments to the seat position. We'll look more closely at the remote control in a few minutes. One feature I really like are the automatic blinds, which provide 2 options depending on if you want some light or total darkness. The coat hook is on the same side right beneath the dining light. Last but certainly not least are the air vents. I am always incredibly relieved when I know I can control the temperature of my space. So I was really happy to see this. Since it was still a few minutes before takeoff, I decided it was a great time to check out the bathroom. It's pretty standard in terms of size, but it's modern and bright and was very clean on my flight. A nice well-lit mirror, an automatic faucet, which I always appreciate, a good supply of amenities including mouthwash, face and body wipes, and toothbrushes and toothpaste. a baby changing table, a retractable platform that you can stand on when changing clothes in the bathroom, and a full-length mirror. There's also a bidet for the toilet. In addition to the automatic faucet, the bathroom also has a floor pedal that opens the trash can. When I got back to my seat, I was happy to find the orange juice I had ordered as my pre-departure drink. Now that my seat is empty, you can get a better feel for the enormity of this seat. As I said before, shockingly large. I sat down and decided to change into my slippers. I think it's nice that ANA provides a shoehorn and shoe bag in addition to the slippers. Just as I settled in, the safety announcement video began to play. And minutes later, we were taking off. Shortly after takeoff, I took a look at the menu. The drink selection is great. You can choose from sake, shochu, champagne, white wine, red wine, aperitifs and cocktails, whiskeys and spirits, beer, dessert wine, brandy and liqueur, and of course a variety of non-alcoholic drinks. For the main meal service, they offer both a Japanese meal and an international meal. The menu also includes a page for smaller dishes that you can order at any time during the flight. And finally, there's a page with the pre-landing meal, which again includes both Japanese and international options. I ordered a glass of champagne, the Drapier Cru Brut, and since this was a Japanese airline, I opted to go with the Japanese meal. Once I placed my order, I decided to check out the Amenity Kit. The bag itself is by Ettinger, a UK-based leather manufacturer. It's a beautiful shade of blue, has leather trim, and is embossed with the Ettinger label. Inside is a small blue parcel, which I'll explore in a second. And a Vita lotion and lip balm. I'm a little surprised that the kit doesn't include basic amenities like toothbrush and toothpaste, but at least some of the usual necessities are in the bathroom. Looking more closely at the blue parcel, you can see that it's actually a handy lightweight tote bag. And that's all there is. Pretty underwhelming compared to other amenity kits I've received, but I do think that the tote bag is a handy option to include. In addition to the items in the amenity kit, ANA also gives business class passengers a card with a code for free Wi-Fi. This made up for the underwhelming amenity kit in my opinion. Service aboard my ANA flight was quite good. As meal service began, the flight attendant came by to prepare my table and to give me a wet rag for my hands. She then came by with water and a bottle of Drapier champagne. The first course is an amuse-bouche, which is the same for all passengers, 3 kinds of mushroom, and a duck and cheese canapé. This seems like a good time to mention that at this point in the flight, I started to have an issue. As ridiculous as it sounds, I was starting to find the seat to be very uncomfortable. Because it's more of a bench seat than a typical airline seat, the ergonomics are just off in my opinion. The seat is hard and has no lumbar support. Additionally, it's much too low for me to eat comfortably. I played around with all the seat controls but couldn't find a setting that worked, so I literally had to sit on one of my pillows throughout the meal. Oh well, on to the next round of food. Zensai, kobachi, and sashimi. This round basically included small portions of lots of different dishes, all very beautifully presented. I'm embarrassed to admit that I'm not a very adventurous eater, and I am not a huge fan of seafood. So while I enjoyed the dishes and recognized that they were well prepared and nicely presented, the dishes weren't amazing or memorable, at least not to me. The main course came next and was a big step up in my opinion. It included simmered mackerel in miso, Japanese pickles, miso soup, and rice. I also ordered a glass of Merlot. I enjoyed this course so much more than the first course. I especially liked the Japanese pickles. And I thought that the mackerel was delicious. It was both flavorful and tender. For dessert, they offered blueberry cheesecake, a cheese plate, and a fruit plate. As a sweet tooth, I of course went for the cheesecake. But honestly, it didn't live up to my expectations. I thought it was both bland and dry. But I was content because I knew we still had many hours ahead with a lot more food to come. It was still early after the main meal service finished, so I decided to explore the in-flight entertainment options. The screen itself is a 4K 24-inch HD monitor with very impressive clarity and color. The remote control I mentioned earlier can be used to control the screen. Or if you're like me, you can put the flight map on the remote and then control the entertainment options by using the monitor as a touchscreen. Entertainment options include movies, videos, ebooks, audio, Sky Live TV, and news. However, the selections within each category are fairly limited. Nevertheless, you'll probably be able to find something to watch. I often like to watch a movie from the country I'm visiting, and there were quite a few Japanese movie options. I opted to try a Japanese movie called The Floor Plan. I closed the shades, adjusted the ambient light, plugged the headset into the port, and hit play. Truth be told, I wasn't a big fan of the movie. It turned out to be a horror movie, which I wasn't expecting. So about halfway through, I decided to give up and try to get some sleep. Before going to sleep, I wanted to brush my teeth and change into pajamas. ANA did not pass out pajamas on my flight, but I asked a crew member if they had any, and she happily provided me with a pair. So make sure to ask when you fly. I quickly brushed my teeth and changed into the PJs. Back at my seat, I closed the doors of the room. There's a small crack between the partitions, but it still feels incredibly private. And look how much space I have. It's kind of crazy. The bed flattens with a touch of the button. And I quickly made up the bed with a mattress pad and the blanket. I climbed in and got comfortable. But unfortunately, I found the foot compartment to be a bit restrictive. Kind of surprising given how large the general space is. Also, even though the seat is incredibly wide, the mattress pad was pretty narrow. Since the seat was hard, I really needed the mattress pad under me, so ultimately I stayed on the narrow pad and didn't really benefit from all that extra space. First world problems, I know, but I always want to provide the full picture in my reviews. Despite all of this, I did sleep pretty well. Having a private lie-flat seat and being able to control the airflow in my space outweighed the negatives. And I was thankful to be able to get some good rest. When I woke up, there was still plenty of time left in the flight. So I got dressed and decided to watch Friends. I also grabbed the chance to order the Apudo ramen. It smelled so good and tasted even better. I highly recommend it, plus I recommend putting some of the chili paste into it. Delicious. I ordered coffee after finishing the ramen, and since I had finally found a comfortable position by putting one pillow behind my back and another underneath me, I was really able to relax and enjoy. Not long after finishing my coffee, the pre-landing meal service began. Was I hungry? No. Was I going to eat? How could I not? Like before, ANA offers both a Japanese option and an international option. I again went with the Japanese option. As with the main meal, some of the dishes weren't my favorite, but as before, that might be my issue rather than an issue with the food. I did really enjoy the fish again. Surprisingly, the dessert was not at all Japanese. But who's complaining? I love Haagen-Dazs ice cream. As we start our approach into Tokyo, how would I rank my 13 hours in ANA's The Room? Is it the best business class out there? Well, generally speaking, ANA provides a solid product on this route. The ground services are well organized, and time spent in the Polaris Lounge is always a pleasure in my opinion. On the flight itself, the service was friendly and responsive, and the food offerings were plentiful, well prepared, and nicely presented. While some of the dishes weren't my favorite, I think it's a matter of personal taste rather than quality. In terms of the hard product, I was so happy to have individual air vents so I could keep my space cool while sleeping. And I also liked having the ability to open and close my own window shades. I also loved the privacy of the room. I really appreciate being able to close the doors and have my own personal space. And it goes without saying that the amount of space per passenger is excellent. Honestly, the most space I've ever had in business class. But while the seat is impressively large, I also found it to be so uncomfortable. It just doesn't feel ergonomically correct for anything. Sitting, eating, watching TV, sleeping. It really feels like you're sitting on a bench seat, and for 13 hours straight, that's just not ideal. Also, if you're designing an adjustable seat, why not give people the option of sitting high enough to comfortably eat? I was able to improve things a bit by placing one pillow behind my back and another one underneath me, but should I have to do that to feel comfortable in business class? Ultimately, it seems as if they put absolutely no thought into ergonomics. And isn't the comfort of the seat the most important factor of all? If you're going to design a pod that is so nice and so spacious, why would you not put more thought into the comfort of the seat? It's possible that my discomfort in the seat is an individual issue, but I highly suspect it's a universal problem. If you've flown in the room, please let me know what you thought. Did you find the bench seat design to be really uncomfortable when sitting? And do you agree with me that the extra space is wasted when you're sleeping? Because you need to stay on the narrow mattress pad to reduce the firmness and also to allow you to extend into the footwell? I'm actually so curious to hear what you all think. By the way, if you're interested in how much I paid for this flight, here are the details. I booked my flight through the Air Canada website. It was an award flight with a total cost of 75,000 points, plus 7,520 Canadian dollars in taxes and fees. I had transferred points to Air Canada when Chase offered a 20% transfer bonus, so the actual cost was 62,500 miles plus $75.20 in taxes and fees. A great deal for flying business class all the way from Chicago to Tokyo. Thanks for coming along with me today. Comment below if you have any questions. And if you've experienced ANA's The Room for yourself, please do weigh in on the comfort of the seat. I am really curious to know if everyone finds it to be as uncomfortable as I did. Also, remember to hit the like button, subscribe, and hit the notification bell if you want to see more travel content like this. It also really helps the channel, so thank you. Until next time, happy travels.